As much as it's one of the best shows on Starz, Outlander has its fair share of episodes that weren't so good, at least according to the fans. That being said, here's a list of the worst Outlander episodes so far. Starting today, we have the second episode of Season 2 titled Not in Scotland Anymore. Fans have voted it as one of the worst episodes of the show with a rating of 7.68, which is still pretty high if you ask me. But it's not easy to watch this episode, especially Jamie in particular. Our Highlander continues to be plagued by the man who sexually assaulted, battered, and tortured him after leaving Wentworth Prison. And because of this, he has become anxious at the mere thought of making love to his wife. Of course, Claire is more than willing to help and ease the pain, but she too is having some trouble reaching out to him. She doesn't even know if Jamie will be able to resist his thoughts of Blackjack, even though he is apparently dead. So yeah, definitely not a feel-good episode for all. But you know what? The reviews on the following episode were much worse, unfortunately. In Season 2, Episode 3, Useful Occupations and Deceptions, we see a continuation of Jamie's troubles, but this time in a political setting. And yeah, you bet your butt the Frasers are still struggling with the events of what happened to him at Wentworth. It takes a lot of time to process trauma, you know. And just like the previous episode, it is not a good watch, which is why it is also ranked as one of the worst episodes. But apart from that, we also saw Jamie immerse himself in politics as a last-ditch effort to prevent the Battle of Culloden. Meanwhile, Claire did, well, Claire things, like searching for things to do she bodes her time. As I said, not really a good episode. But if you think that's a hard watch, just remember Season 5's 8th episode, Famous Last Words. The first scene of the episode takes place in Oxford in 1969, where Roger is addressing his class about research papers they did on famous dying words, which is somewhat ominous, don't you think? The scene then cuts to Jamie in the process of cutting Roger loose from hanging on a tree. And no, he ain't dead here. Roger's still breathing. We saw Claire intubate him while Jamie assures him that everything's fine as he gains consciousness. All is supposed to be fine and well, but Roger has trouble moving on from his trauma from the said event. I swear, the lengths Diana Gabaldon puts her characters into, so inhumane. So, are you ready for more? We've got way worse episodes up ahead, such as Sticks and Stones Season 6, 7th episode. So, why is it bad? Basically, everybody in town's accusing Claire that she's a witch. But what was she supposed to do? She had to at least try to save Lizzie's baby. And so yeah, she performed a C-section on her, which wasn't a common practice by then. And if that's not bad enough, she's even arrested for murder. This episode is just one stressful thing after the other. But Season 5's Episode 4, The Company We Keep, is surprisingly more stressful than that. As if it could get any worse. Going back a season, it's a bit distressful to see the results of Roger's action that led Jamie into a tight spot. Roger guides Jamie's militia to Brownsville, a trading center where a resident Highlander is immersed in a savage feud. This sounds cool and all, but when Jamie and Claire arrive, they discover that Roger's unconventional approach might have cost them the militia's allegiance. It's really just one problem after another, and we get to see Roger exhibit why he won't make a good leader, at least at the time. And what was he thinking? Giving alcohol to agitated men? Yeah, that's a no, Roger. So now we move on to another not-so-good episode, and this time it's Season 6, Episode 4, titled Hour of the Wolf. Ian meets a man from his past while visiting the Cherokee, and this contact brings back difficult memories of his time spent with the Mohawk. Yes, this was the beginning of us uncovering Ian's sad backstory with the Cherokee.
Wolf's brother.
Then, Jamie, on the other hand, encounters an Indian agent who questions his beliefs, forcing him to reconsider. Before the soldiers took off, Brianna sulked her way through the weapons testing, only to later confess to Jamie that the weapons they are providing the Cherokee won't be enough to save them.
Christ. In God's name did you learn to shoot like that?
My father?
The government will forcibly evict them from their land and relocate them 1,000 kilometers away in 60 years. Plus, might I just add, it's no secret that Brianna is one of the least liked characters in the whole show. With historians as parents, I don't really understand how she doesn't think long and hard enough about the repercussions of time travel. Anyway, moving forward with the next episode, we have Season 1's second episode, Castle Loud. Watching the earlier episodes of Outlander is a bit of a whiplash, seeing how far the Frasers have come, and it's a little hard to see Claire adjust to her situation. Like, who wouldn't be distressed when you mysteriously got transported back in time? What's worse, you're even accused of being a spy. So yeah, that's Claire's life for you, at least during the earlier episodes. To recap, Claire is taken to Castle Loud in the episode under suspicion of being an English spy, and then she tries to make travel arrangements to return to the Standing Stones after learning that it is 1743. Her skill as a healer is used by Colin Mackenzie as a justification for holding her. And then we have another episode that isn't on par with the better episodes. Season 1's fourth episode, The Gathering. Admit it, we all somehow are rooting for Claire here at one point. In this episode, we see Claire execute her first serious attempt at a planned escape. While doing so, she had more than a few run-ins with several characters, including Dougal and Jamie. Of course, with Jamie, she spends yet another moment alone as they develop their friendship. See, I told you the earlier episodes of Outlander were a bit hard to watch. Even the show's pilot episode, Sassenach, made it to today's list. Can you imagine being a grown woman, minding your own business, when you get teleported to an unknown place? What's worse, it's also a different time. So yes, in this episode, we see the beginning of the story, where Claire Randall, a World War II war nurse, is inexplicably transported back to 1743 Scotland while on her honeymoon. There she meets Jamie, an injured young man, and is captured by a clan of Highlanders. Gotta admit it though, that's one heck of a starter for the pilot episode. But then, topping today's list of the worst Outlander episodes is none other than Give Me Liberty, the fifth episode of Season 6. I swear, what the two have undergone just gets more stressful by the season. So, back to the episode. Malva takes advantage of Roger and Amy's developing friendship several times. For example, when Roger discovers Malva and Mr. Henderson having intercourse in the church, she responds with blackmail. How? Well, Malva threatens to tell everyone she saw Roger and Amy kissing and that everyone will believe her. So yeah, this ended up with Roger keeping his mouth shut. With that, this has been today's video about the worst Outlander episodes.